What's up everyone, Suneil Angel here, and today I'm going to be ranting about something that's been bugging me for a while. Something that a lot of you might have noticed but may not have been very vocal about it for whatever reasons. But I simply can't take it and I need to have a rant about it. So here it goes, rant mode has been activated and I will be ranting about whitewashing. For those who do not know, here is the definition of whitewashing in films straight from Wikipedia. Whitewashing is a casting practice in the film industry of the United States in which white actors are cast in historically non-white character roles. Read the article on Wikipedia if you want. The link will be in the description below. But the article lists all the movies that had white actors playing the role of characters that were other than white. Now, I'm not going to challenge any movie in the list, but what I am going to challenge is our thought process, our state of mind, and how we perceive whitewashing as, and I'm going to use Death Note as an example. As you may or may not know, Netflix will be releasing a movie based on the manga/anime called Death Note, and ever since the first trailer came out, fans and social justice warriors have been screaming at the top of their lungs that Netflix original has fallen victim to whitewashing. While this may look like the case, but it's not. The film is not even out yet, so I have to go by the information that has been released to the media and draw my conclusions from that. I had to do a lot of detective work for this video, and I'm happy with what I found on the net. Let me start by pointing out that the original manga and anime were set in Japan. Not a big deal for manga anime fans, but it actually is a big deal when you're making a movie for the Western audiences. Japan's culture is different from America, so when you are making a movie on something that is set in Japan, you have one of two choices. Set the film at the place where the original source was set, like the Sarah Michelle Gellar star The Grudge did, which Death Note cannot do. If you're wondering why, I'll cover that later in the video. Or the second approach they could take with the project is to set it in the West, but try and remove as many Japanese references as possible. This is to make the movie as coherent as possible. By the end of the day, the film could have a runtime of more than 2 hours, which is still a bit long. The longest it can stretch is 4 hours, if you're wondering. Something which The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King did, but I don't think Death Note will be taking that approach, so let's settle for a reasonable 2-hour long movie. In that 2-hour long movie, the director, scriptwriter, and the other people associated with the project are tasked with introducing the characters, give them the reason to exist in the film, introduce Death Note, give them the reason to use the Death Note, introduce new characters to keep the film fresh, add more layer and depth to the characters, and keep chucking in set pieces that build the tension as the movie marches towards the end. All of this has to be done in a 2-hour long movie. The anime had no such issue. It was a 34 episode long series with an estimated runtime of 20 minutes each. So in total, you're looking at approximately 12-hour long marathon. The anime had plenty of time to introduce, develop, and kill characters off as it marched towards its end. Now this is where the changes come in. If the Netflix original was set in Japan, then the creators would have been tasked with not only creating a compelling story and believable characters, they also would have been tasked to assume that the viewers may not be well versed in Japanese culture. So in other words, they would have to assume that their movie is being viewed by ignorant people who couldn't be bothered to look into the Japanese culture before they started watching the film. They would have been left with two choices here. Educate the viewers themselves who are not familiar with the Japanese culture and run the risk of it turning preachy or insulting the people who are familiar with the culture. Take a look at Shinigamis in the Death Note universe. The gods or spirits of death are part of Japanese culture, and one of the reasons Death Note took ages to be brought to the Western audiences in a live feature adaptation, because at one point Shinigamis were supposed to be removed for the Western adaptation completely. A quick Google search will validate my claim. The second option would have been to simply change the setting to a Western country. In this case, it's America. It also reduces that level of subtitling that would have been involved if it was set in Japan. Obviously, the Japanese people would have spoken Japanese and would have been rude to set the film in Japan, but to have English-speaking cast and extras. That would have beaten the entire point. The film is being developed to cater to the Western audiences, people who may not be familiar with Death Note or are familiar with Death Note but never got around to watch the anime. This is where I'm going to address the whitewashing controversy. Because the setting has changed in the Netflix original, the characters have also been changed and now feature American actors to play the leading roles. But that doesn't mean the character's name didn't change. Light Yagami turned to Light Turner, played by Nat Wolff. Misa Amane turned into Mia Sutton, played by Margaret Qualley, and Elle is played by Keith Stanfield. Now, this move brought in a lot of controversy. There are fans complaining that the roles should not have been given to American actors, hence the term whitewashing, which doesn't make much sense as Keith Stanfield is black, but anyways, let's move on. I'm going to be completely honest here. Whitewashing does not apply to this project because the characters mentioned for the Netflix original do not have Japanese names. While some may quote me on the earlier mentioned Wikipedia article saying that the original characters were Japanese, if you look at the list, the characters mentioned in that list have names that are clearly not Western but yet still played by white actors. Another thing to mention here is that the Netflix original is merely a Western interpretation of the original source material. While you may not agree with it, the creators of the Netflix original certainly have the creative right and the talent to bring the interpretation to life. When you allow yourself to consider that, I'm sure you will see Death Note in an entirely new light. Everyone has a right to exercise their creative freedom, and while it is understandable that Death Note is a beloved franchise and fans can get upset, we have to give the studio a chance to present us what they're trying to offer. Take a look at Ghost in the Shell and Dragon Ball. Fans did not connect with the presented material and the movies tanked at the box office. On the other hand, take a look at The Hunger Games, the series that propelled Jennifer Lawrence's career to new heights. Or Batman Begins, in which Liam Neeson played the role of Ra's al Ghul and looked amazing doing it. Who am I kidding? Liam Neeson is amazing in any role he does. Bottom line is, whitewashing is not an issue, so don't turn it into one. If the project itself is handled with care and is respectful to the original source material, then the audiences don't care. And the people who do are just narrow-minded people who are looking for a reason to get offended. If the character is fictional, then it doesn't matter who plays it. If the movie is being made in America, then it can and probably will feature white actors. If the film is made in India, then it will feature Indian actors. If the film is being made in Japan, it will feature Japanese actors. But since we are on the topic, let's take a look at what the rest of the world is doing. I'm sure you're familiar with an anime called Attack on Titans. If you are, then you are probably aware that there have been 2 movies made based on the manga/anime sensation, featuring an all-Japanese cast. If we are to apply the same logic of whitewashing as to how offensive it is to the people of color by casting white people, then the 2 Attack on Titan movies are offensive to white people, because if you pay close attention to the character's name, apart from Mikasa Ackerman, all lead characters are non-Japanese. Aaron Yeager, Armin Arlett, John Kirstein, I think I'm reading it right, Sasha Bros. None of these characters have a Japanese name, and it is also visually represented. For example, Armin and Annie both have blonde hairs. Here's another example. In the month of May, news emerged that Rambo is getting an official remake in Bollywood and will feature an Indian actor to play the role of Rambo. So if we are to apply your logic here, that means that Attack on Titans yellow-washed the movie by casting Japanese actors, and Bollywood brown-washed the Rambo series by casting a brown guy. While not entirely related to movies, but I think cosplaying also needs to be addressed here. If we are to apply your logic to cosplaying as well, then it means that white people are not allowed to cosplay as Japanese characters because that can also be classed as whitewashing. It also means that black people cosplaying as white characters will be frowned upon, and fat people will be asked to stand on the sidelines, as we hardly get to see a fat character of importance in games, comics, and animes. Can you see the problem here? The problem is not how Hollywood is whitewashing the projects. It's about how you are perceiving it, how you are reacting to it. By the end of the day, we all have creative freedom and have an equal right to express it unless it's breaking the laws in any way. Actors, models, artists, all of them have the creative freedom, and judging them by their skin color means that you do not want to know what they can or cannot offer as an artist, because their skin color does not meet the source material's character. It also goes on to prove that we live in a society that is so emotionally sensitive that we can get triggered by anything. And yes, I admit Hollywood has made some terrible mistakes in the past, but when it comes to whitewashing, they have made some terrible mistakes. But this is 2017, so stop living in the past. But even after my rant, if your opinion hasn't changed regarding Death Note and still believe that it has been whitewashed, then why don't you do yourself a favor? Fly over to Japan, hire some Asian actors, and make the movie yourself. Oh no, but wait. That has been done before. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. So good luck with the 4th effort. Oh, and if you're bothered about why, how can I make that kind of claim, like why there was only just one Oriental character in Attack on Titans, look for episode number 6 in season 1 when Mikasa Ackerman is actually kidnapped as a child, and you will hear one of the kidnappers say that she's actually one of the last remaining Orientals. So yeah, I did my research on that. Well, that brings me to the end of my rant. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And remember, the world does not belong to white, brown, black, or any other color, creed, or race. It belongs to the people who dare to dream and work hard to make those dreams come true. Peace out, people, and have a good day.